While Russian firefighters continue to battle blazes across the country, the extreme weather conditions have eased and wind has cleared much of the smoke. But environmental groups have expressed fears that the wildfires still burning near Chernobyl could release radioactive pollution into the atmosphere. Government officials are monitoring radiation and say levels haven't risen above normal. The ABC's Moscow correspondent Norman Hermont reports.
Russia's wildfires just keep burning with no end in sight. And now there are fears they may be putting something much more harmful into the air than the toxic smoke that has shrouded Moscow and other cities. Fires are now scorching areas contaminated with radioactive fallout from the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. And officials say radiation being carried into the air with smoke is a real risk.
These regions, these forests, need special protection from fires because this radioactive cloud can rise along with smoke with combustion emissions and spread to a larger area.
It's unlikely radiation would spread to Moscow or other European cities. But the environmental group Greenpeace, the first to raise the alarm, says there is a danger from low-level radiation.
This is a real risk of spreading radionuclides and radioactivity. The question of how big this risks, and again, if it's high or low, if it's repeating Chernobyl or not. Of course, it is not repeating Chernobyl discharge. Of course not. This is so-called small dose of radiation people will receive if they breathe these aerosols.
Russia's capital has been enjoying a respite from weeks of thick smog, with winds blowing smoke away from the city. But even in areas that haven't been burnt, the impact of the worst heat wave in 130 years has been dramatic. A third of the wheat crop has been lost, and Russia has banned exports to ensure it has enough supply to meet demands at home.
The prime target is to meet the domestic demand for grain, and here there are too many questions because the losses are immense and obvious.
All through this fire season, there's been a steady diet of Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin in the state-controlled media, consoling fire victims, even taking the controls of a firefighting jet. But despite that, questions are being asked about changes on his watch to Russia's firefighting system. Capacity has been reduced, forest management has been privatized. More and more Russians say now they are seeing the consequences. Norman Hermont, Laidline.